Hello, darlings. We are talking about HelloFresh. What is it, you may ask? Well, HelloFresh is your new best friend when it comes to getting seasonal fresh ingredients pre-proportioned to keep you well-fed yet snatched and brought from farm directly to your doorstep. You can skip annoying trips to the grocery store and still have some easy fun cooking at home. It's affordable too, and I think that's why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com/brothers50 and use code brothers50 for 50% off, plus your first box ships free. This episode of Creatures of the Night is brought to you by BetterHelp. If you've been thinking about talking to a therapist, then let this be a sign to give BetterHelp a try. Everything's done online, it's convenient, it's flexible, and it's perfect for any schedule. You fill out a questionnaire, and then BetterHelp matches you up with a licensed therapist, and you are off. If for any reason you want to change therapists, you can do so at any time with no extra charge. BetterHelp really is designed to make the process of talking to a therapist convenient and easy, so no excuses. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/brothers today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/brothers. You'll be happy that you did.
Now from Hollywood, California, the horror capital of the world, the Boulet Brothers, Creatures of the Night.
All right, so it is the day after the premiere of the Boulet Brothers Dragula Titans World Tour. Here we are in our hotel in glamorous Orlando, Florida. How are you both feeling?
A little accomplished, a little crazy, a little tired, and a little fueled for the future.
I'm going to agree with all of that. I definitely feel crazy.
Girls.
But I do feel fueled, and I actually am super excited. The tour is in full swing. I have fully settled to my child coffin. I'm sliving.
Okay, so here we are. If you hear some strange noises, airplanes or gators eating things in the swamp.
No, it is literally like that, though, because we took really long walk around this neighborhood. We went to dinner, and we were just, kind of spending some time outside, and it's dark, and we're in the swamp, and it's kind of amazing because I'm like, who went around and did some production design on this whole town? Because it's swampy and there's all that creepy grass that you see in the trees around New Orleans. It's beautiful.
Too.
I love it.
I thought it was going to be kind of more surfy or something, but it's kind of swampy. I don't know. I guess it makes sense. Victoria's from here.
I know she's like a swamp witch.
I didn't really picture her on a surfboard, even though it's kind of funny.
More in the swamp on a surfboard.
Wait, why do I want Victoria on a surfboard? That sounds amazing.
It is kind of like the Nosferatu beach party.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say,
totally.
It sounds like Fortune casting from the season 5 group show, swamp surfing here at USA or something.
To a Beach Boys.
So let's talk about last night. It was our opening night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people listening to the podcast know this, but opening nights are usually total disasters because you practice things, you rehearse things. There's different parts of the team and different parts of the country, and you come together for the first time. All these different pieces that we were all building separately in groups around the country, and then we come together and we have to put it together really quickly, turn on the lights, and put the show on. And of course, that doesn't always go as planned.
No, it doesn't. And he'll also have to add in the live element. We're okay, we have to cram all of these pieces together with all these teams that are meeting for the first time, and now let's do it in front of an audience.
Yeah. Which the show was great. The show went amazing. It was sold out. The crowd loved it. I was very happy with you. All happy with?
It was incredible. We got to do Victoria's live crowning as promised, and her reputation as a hometown queen was never clearer because the audience was just screaming behind her. Everyone was rooting for her. It was a really magical moment.
Yeah, I think the night went fantastically. But of course, things happen. And I thought it'd be fun to talk about some of the things that happened behind the scenes for listeners of the podcast. They might be interested in it. The first thing I would say that happened was I didn't realize this until we got there, but apparently there was an artist that was murdered in this venue, a woman named Christina Grimmie, who was on The Voice. So one night she was performing there and a crazed fan came in and went backstage and killed her.
I heard she was shot in the head and then in the chest, dead in that theater. I mean,
Probably
I didn't know
the
that
dressing room we were in.
I didn't know
I
that
thought it was
until
on
the show.
stage.
Was it on stage?
That's what I had heard. It was that someone ran up to the front of the stage and shot her.
Wow. Well, anyway, so that was fun to know that. So of course, and then there's all this stuff going on in Florida right now with like, we hate drag queens and all these kind of crazy people driving around in camo trucks with like, God stickers.
Mm-hmm.
Which normally very hot for me.
Yeah, so that was kind of, because I was like, are we going to get like, protested or some crazy going to come in or something? But I guess they knew better because they didn't come anywhere near the club from what there was one, right?
I think there was literally one who came to, air quotes, preach the word of Jesus or something like that.
And then
we
she
were
got
like, thank
sad
you,
and
but no
left.
thank you.
Yeah.
Well, then she saw how fierce the meet and greet was, and she's like, oh my God,
She's like, I
Melissa
can't.
B. Fierce is here. Yes.
He thought he was going to show up and there was going to be all these kind of like drag race fans. And then he showed up and he saw our crowd and he was like, oh, fuck that. I'm not going to fuck with that. I'm not going to fuck with that.
Like, turn that shit around.
They looked at him and they're like, fuck around and find out. So
It's
that
true.
was good. But still, so there was this murder. That was a little weird.
Yeah. Let's talk about the air conditioning too, because
I
when we
was
were
waiting for
doing the
it.
walkthrough, I was like, okay, we're just getting in. It's early. I'm sure that's why it's so hot. And of course, for some reason, like we brought a little slice of hell with us weather-wise to Orlando, because the weather before and after our show was in the like high 60s, like low 70s. But the day of our show, it spiked to 90. And
Well, of
I'm like, it
course.
is hotter than hell.
Mhm.
And even in the theater, it was so hot. So we walked in and we're going to do our walkthroughs. And I was like, tech guy, excuse me. Yeah, excuse me. Can we put the air on? Because I don't like that. I mean, I do not like the heat at all. I want it to be frozen like an iceberg. Put me in the freezer. Do not put me out in the
No,
90
he turned
degrees.
the heat on.
And they cranked the heat on, because I think it came on, the air conditioning came on for like 5 minutes, but by the time the show started, when there were 900, 1,000 bodies in there, yes, every seat was taken.
Ooh.
It was like a sauna.
Yeah, it was pretty hellish.
Sweltering.
Yeah, that was
All
bad.
night.
Yeah, and when you're in drag and you have layers and layers of everything on that you have to have on to be in drag, and then costume changes and stuff, it's horrid.
Well, it also doesn't help that we are in lovely Florida. Hi, I used to live in Florida, so I feel like I can say this. It's a very strange place to be. It's 70 degrees outside now because it started raining, and you're walking out and you're like, I am sweating. It's
Yeah.
humid and sticky and just miserably hot.
This is part of the reason why we drag queens and kings and everything in between out to the middle of the desert and
Yeah.
put them through these exterminations, because it is real. Like, it happens
It's
in
very
real
real.
life. And
Yeah.
last night was like a great example of that. It was an oven.
Yeah. So another
We were
interesting-
cooking like Hansel and Gretel in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So another interesting thing that happened was Melissa did this blasphemous performance inspired by her season 1 finale, which I love, and it was so good. Can I just say Melissa is just killing it?
Absolutely.
Killing it. Everyone was so impressed with her. I was impressed with her. She did this blasphemous show. Shablam finale.
Yes.
Power out.
Oh my God.
Like,
yeah.
For a minute.
20 minutes. I mean,
Yeah, basically the software and the computers that they run the show from up in the control booth, right? Melted, which
Which
is
is-
insane.
I mean, literally something that it's I would say act of God, because we are here with our satanic drag show. You know,
Yeah.
I run up there, I'm like, what is happening? And they turned the laptop around and it looked like they had just dunked the laptop in water. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, there's literally nothing to do.
It was
The
Easter
20 minutes. It was
in
crazy.
Florida.
I know. We were there. God was pissed. Melissa was like doing her nun. It wasn't the perfect storm.
Doing her nun, doing the most.
What else? There was no other real foibles. We finally crowned Victoria, as you mentioned, which was
Yes.
fantastic. That was our plan. You know,
It was
that was our
great.
plan. Again, we've talked about this before on the podcast. The Boulet Brothers Dragula Titans is not a regular season of the Boulet Brothers Dragula. We did not want to dump blood on their head and all that. We thought it was great. It would be great to crown them live on tour because the tour is part of the prize. Duh, it made sense to us. But
Yeah, the season was special, and the way that we commemorate it was also going to be special.
I did secretly want to, when it was time for Victoria to perform, I really wanted to roll out that giant portrait and just put a spotlight on it in silence and just be like, okay, let's give it up for Victoria. I
How
just really
funny would that have been?
It was so fun too. This is why we do the show.
Yeah.
This is why we do everything that we do to get to this place, because touring is a privilege and seeing drag live is the best way to experience it. And last night was a great example of all of that.
It's why they put in the work and deal with everything they deal with. Because a lot of them, I think, we've talked about this before. They'll be like, oh my God, Twitter and everyone's yelling at me about this and they hate me for this. And I'm like, when you go on tour, no one
None of
cares
that
about
matters.
that stuff. Nobody cares. They're a fan of yours. If they remember you from the show, then they're your fan, and they're going to treat you as such on tour. And I think last night they got to see that.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of knowing them from the show and just being fans of them, both Coco and Hoso fucking brought it. They both brought like reimagined versions of their sci-fi challenge looks. And it was so cool to see these looks elevated again for the stage. Like super impressed with everyone on the tour right now.
What did Coco said to you about
After that, I was like, so how was it? She's like, doing that little thing she does with her nails. She's like, girl, it was great, but I need to work out. Like, I don't think I can. This is only one night. I don't know if I can keep this up.
Well, oh my God. I mean, Coco did a reinvention of her D&D look, and I knew that she must have been tired because she was, oh my God. I mean, she was giving power slut moves on 1,000. I was like, Coco, this show is hot, honey.
That's her brand.
I think it was a great night. I can't wait. So we have Atlanta next. That's our next stop. So knock on wood, by the time this podcast comes out, we will be through Atlanta already. So yeah. So if you haven't gotten your tickets to the Boulet Brothers Dragula live show, make sure you get them. We're coming to a city near you very soon.
All right, darlings. And on that note, we're going to take a quick break and we will be right back after these ads. Hello, darlings. We are talking about HelloFresh. What is it, you may ask? Well, HelloFresh is your new best friend when it comes to getting seasonal fresh ingredients pre-proportioned to keep you well-fed yet snatched and brought from farm directly to your doorstep. You can skip annoying trips to the grocery store and still have some easy fun cooking at home. It's affordable too, and I think that's why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Now, I consider myself a bit of a kitchen witch. I love food and I love cooking, but I don't love spending hours and hours in the kitchen, and that is the main reason why I love HelloFresh. They provide everything I need to make magical dishes like pineapple chicken tacos or spiced falafel power balls, and the recipes are always changing. The food travels from the farm to my home in less than 7 days, so the ingredients are always fresh. Drac loves it too because I get to do all the work and we both get to enjoy the delicious fruits of my labor. Go to HelloFresh.com/brothers50 and use code brothers50 for 50% off plus your first box ships free. This episode of Creatures of the Night is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, I wasn't always working in television, and I can remember clearly how challenging it was to change career paths. I felt a little lost. I was excited, I was scared, all at the same time, because I was a little unsure about what the future held, and it was then I discovered how powerful a tool therapy could be. I needed someone to help me see myself in a clearer way, and it was challenging. I later understood that this was just part of my growth process, and as they say, you don't grow when you're not challenged. And getting to know more about yourself is a lifelong process because we're always growing and we're always changing. Now, I know what some of you are already thinking, but I want to dispel any stigmas about therapy because I think anyone and everyone can benefit from time with a good therapist, and BetterHelp can get you to the right one. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can walk you through that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. You might discover new things and ways to express yourself, establish boundaries, or just feel empowered to be the best and most powerful version of yourself possible, and who doesn't want that? If you've been thinking about talking to a therapist, then let this be a sign to give BetterHelp a try. Everything's done online, it's convenient, it's flexible, and it's perfect for any schedule. You fill out a questionnaire, and then BetterHelp matches you up with a licensed therapist, and you are off. If for any reason you want to change therapists, you can do so at any time with no extra charge. BetterHelp really is designed to make the process of talking to a therapist convenient and easy, so no excuses. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/brothers today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/brothers. You'll be happy that you did.
All right, we're back and we are still in sunny Orlando, Florida. But of course, it's midnight when we're recording this podcast. Actually, what time is it, Ian?
It's 12:40.
Yeah, well, it's 12:45, a sensible time for three vampires to be doing a podcast.
Yeah. Is everyone else asleep? What's everyone else doing?
I don't know.
Probably. I mean, who knows?
Who cares?
Ooh la la.
When are we going to bed? Are we going to bed tonight or what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, not to spill too much tea about how the tour works, but we are driving to the next city tonight, and I will be sleeping in my bunk because I don't want to have to get up for the bus call. So I'll be in my child coffin, sweetly
And you're
snoring.
gonna do that too?
I'm going to do the same. I think the call time and we're rolling out is like 7 a.m. So I don't want to like half sleep
Mhm.
in the hotel and then have to roll down there
No.
at dawn. Like that's not, no.
Ew.
Exactly.
But Drac, you want to do it.
I don't know. We'll see. Well, anyways, back to our podcast.
Oh,
So,
right.
one of the things I wanted to mention about the tour was we decided to dedicate the whole tour to the memory of Heklina, who is a good friend of ours that we recently lost. If you've been on social media recently, I'm sure you know about it. But in case you don't know who Heklina is or what her contribution to the drag scene has been, I thought we could take some time today on the podcast to talk about it. And I know a lot of times people say, oh, well, I don't want to hear about sad things. This is not a sad thing. It's honestly a celebration of Heklina. That's what I'd like to talk about, is why Heklina had such an impact and how she impacted us. And I have to say, while we were great friends with Heklina and we've known her for a long time, there are a lot of people who have that same story. Heklina had tons of friends, and Heklina touched a lot of different
That's
people's
true.
lives. And that's one of the things that I think that are so special about her, is that she was open and genuine to everybody, and she made tons of friends, and so many people came out of the woodwork and would have similar stories that we have about how close they were with her or things that she did for them. And I was so happy to see that, because I felt like it just was testament to the fact that she was consistently that person all the time, which is rare, right?
It's very
in
rare.
this scene.
Especially in the world of nightlife. Now, both of us have roots. Both Heklina and the Boulet Brothers have roots in nightlife, and our paths crossed years ago because she did a very successful event in San Francisco for so long. It touched so many people. It really shaped the punk and alternative drag scene in San Francisco while we were doing our own version of that in LA. And when you come across people from the nightlife world, usually 9 times out of 10, they're snakes. And
it's not, I wouldn't say it's normally because they're venomous. I would say most of the time, the people that usually get attracted to promoting nightlife, there is ego involved, right? And I would say there's also a little bit of lack of business knowledge, because usually they're not necessarily super educated in business or how to work with people, and they just kind of want to do their own thing and be rebellious, and I'm going to make money, and they think they can just forego traditional business.
there's a hustle vibe, but it's also
Yeah.
cool. And there's a lot of different facets that go into
Yeah.
it. But when we met Heklina, we connected on a level that wasn't only just business. It was very personal too, because she was so genuine. She was so
Yeah.
open. She was so like generous with us right
Yeah.
from the start.
When I first heard about it, because people would always come to us and be like, well, have you heard about this club in San Francisco? And this is why we were doing our club. And we're like, well, we're the shit. No one's doing a club like us. We're like, they're like, no, it's very theatrical. And it's just, and I'm like, no, I don't want to hear it. It's not like our club. Don't even try it. Later, once we met years later, and I told her that, she's like, yeah, I know. We both were like, oh my God, but it really was very similar in a lot of ways, because we both pushed these crazy boundaries that like people just didn't push back then. And we celebrated the alternative side of drag and art and performance and nightlife. And she came from very humble roots. So did we. And we just connected on a level that I don't think we've ever connected with anybody else before. And in fact, she helped us start Dragula when Dragula was an event in San Francisco. And we helped her get her event live in LA. So she would do our party in San Francisco, we would do her party in LA, and we did that back and forth for a long time, and we just formed a really great relationship. But it's not easy to start expanding your clubs into different places. I know the first Dragula San Francisco we ever did was, more successful than I could have ever dreamed. It was insane. And
I remember, just to go into it for 2 seconds, I remember that night so well because we were in the hotel and we're like, okay, we brought our show on the road, and I looked outside and I was like, no. It was downpouring.
Yeah.
It was like thunder, lightning, and
I thought
rain.
it's dead.
I was like, if that happened in LA, you were pretty much guaranteed a dead night. Like
Yeah.
no one was leaving the house. There was like a dark star of magic and blessing over that party. Just like I think we've carried that blessing through the show and beyond, because there was another show in town. And I think that the impact of what Dragula had really reached up the coast, up to San Francisco. A line wrapped around the corner. The Eagle was packed wall to wall all night.
And
love
like
it.
magically, every like drag race superstar in eternity, like all showed, and we were like, what is happening? Like, why are these people? So it was like this huge crowd. And San Francisco, especially then, the level of artistry was like amazing. Now, I will say they weren't as filthy and wild as the competitors were in LA, but their costumes, remember, their costumes were level 10.
Very,
they brought the
very
looks.
creative.
They brought, I remember quite a few people. Creme Fatale back then would come out. It eventually entered I think she started drag around that time. But anyway, the point being, Heklina helped us back then, and it started really strong. And of course, like every party, you know, it has its down nights and on. I remember nights when Heklina was like, you don't have to pay me. I don't care. And I was like, how many people have ever said that to me in my entire life? It's zero.
Yeah.
It's zero
literally
outside
zero.
of her. And
I remember even before the party started there, we had went up to one of her other nights, and it was like a really big, successful night.
Yeah.
I forget. There was like a pizza place connected to it.
yeah, it was a DNA lounge. It was,
yes.
yeah. Uh-huh.
And it was packed, and Latrice was there that night. And
Yeah.
we were there, and we were like kind of cross gender hacking leather, like crazy, like vinyl. And we had like our plastic hair. And she was like, come up here. And we were like, wait, is she talking to us? And she invited us on stage, a packed house. And she's like, I'm doing a party with these guys. They'll be up here from LA. Like, and just promoted us to her wall-to-wall packed club.
She celebrated
Amazing.
us as if we were us today. Like she treated us like a superstar from moment one. And it was very giving and generous of her. And she always was open like that.
We have to tell the story. I mean, I want to keep this as a celebration because Heklina was always super happy, very fun, sarcastic. She was filthy. She was really fun and fabulous and loved to laugh.
But she was super silly. She was super silly. And that's one of the things like I have, when I think of like funny stories I have tons of funny stories about her because she was always doing something ridiculous or something fun. And she would laugh about it because one of the things she did the night you're talking about, Latrice was performing and Heklina was hosting it. It was her event. And so she's on this big stage and she's like, okay, Latrice, I'm going to announce Latrice Royale. And then Heklina just kind of backs up and sits down on this. She doesn't leave the stage. She just kind of sat down.
She like
and
laid
put the
down
mic in her lap and started to lay down. And I'm like, okay, girl, we've all been there when we're hosting before, but never would I actually lay down on the stage while my guest was performing. She went ahead and laid down.
I was cackling. She did not give up. I was like, she doesn't give a fuck.
we were in the crowd. I was like, what's she doing? Is she not going to get off the stage?
She's laying down on the
lay
stage.
down there and
I've
watch
never
the
seen
show,
anything like
did.
this.
Oh my God.
I told her about it before, and she just laughed her ass off. And she was like, I was just enamored by Latrice. I just wanted to watch it. And I was like, good for you. Okay, and here's my ultimate funny Heklina story. This is from before we knew her, when she was a lot more wild. But this story cracked me up. I am not going to reveal who it's about. But there is a very famous drag queen that we all know who once tried to pick a fight with Heklina. Same age range. Tried to pick a physical fight with her back in the day. And she said something to Heklina, and I forget what Heklina told me it was. But she filled her purse up with full beers and went over and clubbed the other drag queen in the face and fell on top of her and started punching her in the face. And she beat her up. And this drag queen is a drag queen that you all will know. But I'm never going to say who it is. But I'll just say it's the same age range and category as Heklina. And you would be... I laughed so hard when she told me that story. He's like, yeah, I used to be crazy.
We're gonna miss her. I think there's gonna be a lot of people that really miss her.
I think so too, but I just want to keep talking about her because I want people to know what her impact is, because I think a lot of younger fans or people that maybe aren't around San Francisco or like don't know what was Heklina's impact. And Heklina's impact is that she was very much involved in her community in San Francisco in terms of like pushing queer art, in terms of pushing alternative and punk drag. She started and pioneered a punk drag night that many people came up through and developed their careers afterwards from.
And obviously left their mark on those people, on those performers. They saw things in San Francisco at Heklina's parties and in front of Heklina's performances that they had never seen anywhere else. And she probably bent and changed the rules and the boundaries of what people thought of as what I can and can't do in drag.
And she was very humble about it. She was successful at it. She ended up then taking her money and opening a queer venue there, the Oasis, which is open to this day. Her and Darcy Drollinger opened it up together. But yeah, so she's had a huge impact. But not only that, beyond that, this was before Drag Race times. She was sort of one of those characters who you just sort of knew. You would know like Lady Bunny, Heklina, Jackie B, Misunderstood, Head of Lettuce, these sort of people who existed, Lip Synca, like back in the day before drag queens got famous on TV.
Right. And these were people and names you learned because you were in the know.
Right.
Because you lived
Mona
in a
Foot.
city, you were queer, and you just learned about them through word of mouth and experience, like pre-internet.
Yeah.
I mean,
we worked in clubs and everything, and we knew who all these people were. They were sort of like the pantheon of goddesses in each city back then.
like why the words like legendary and icon were created.
Yeah, and it was all very fun drag. It was not perfect for TV kind of drag. It was what I think of as actual drag. Not that drag, what has developed into, is not valid, but it's what I think of when I think of drag. It was very much, how do you take $5 and turn it into something that looks like 500, and a whole different skill set. Very live. You had to have charisma and stage presence and know how to perform. And Heklina was great about that. And I will wrap this up, but I will say, as a performer, I always looked up to Heklina because she could make a show out of nothing. She just had the charisma. She knew. One time when she came to Dragula in San Francisco, one of the first shows she did with us, because we'd have like 5 or 6 exorcisters, we called them, and they were the judges of the pageant, but they also were the performers. And so the performers would put on shows, and then we would do the pageant later in the night. And Heklina did this silly ass show. There was no lyrics to it.
The vampire show, right?
And she got staked at the beginning. So she gets staked and she's like, ah. And then she slowly dies wobbling all over the stage, pulling out a red handkerchief.
Yes!
It just kept going forever like it was blood. And it was so stupid and amazing at the same time. And she always would do something like that. She was very captivating, very theatrical. She would do plays with Peaches Christ all the time. She did things on her own. She had her own one-woman shows. And I just think she's fantastic. I want people to remember her. We'll remember her. And that's it. I think we'll talk about her more. We always have to remember to remind people about who Heklina is and what she contributed and just how good of a person she was, honestly.
And how loved she was. I mean, going back, and this conversation comes full circle about how many people she has touched and how many people just know her and have worked with her. The sound and tech manager on this tour, Sophie, said, "Oh, yeah, I know you guys have worked with Heklina. I used to work at Oasis. I know Heklina." And we kind of shared in that loss and in that moment and in her memory, because I'm kind of happy when I think about Heklina. And of course, I get very sad over the last week or two. Like, it's just been, it's difficult to not get sad over the loss of someone like that because they were such a light in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah. And it's weird. You saw a lot of it on social media. It made me feel weird, honestly, because, there were a lot of people that I don't know if they knew who they were. And I feel like they were trying to pay tribute to it, which I thought was cool, but also made me uncomfortable because I'm like, I don't know. They didn't know her necessarily. And I did. And then I felt like, I don't know, what are we supposed to do? It's a weird thing when you lose someone, because I really felt like it was personal. I was like, I don't want to make a social media. I'm not trying to virtue signal here. Like, I don't want to put my feelings out there because it really was hurtful,
Yeah. Well, it's weird. I think I saw a lot of unfortunately, policing of grief, which I think is very strange. Like, people saying like, X person needs to say something, like you should address this. And it's like, well, who are you to say that, that I'm not hurting, if I'm not sharing it on social media, we all feel lost differently. And I don't know, that was a little strange, but I do agree with you, Drac. Like, there were so many people who were expressing amazing stories about Heklina, and really all these articles came out, and that was really cool. To see her being celebrated.
I just want them to know what it was, why she was really celebrated, not just like, I should say that this is a legend. I've seen people use terms. I'm like, okay, yes, but you don't know why. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know.
Loss is personal. I don't think anyone should tell anybody else how to feel or what to do or how to say it, right? We're all entitled to experience it as it happens. And so unexpectedly, my God, Heklina was young. I mean, overseas to do a live show with Peaches. I mean, maybe in some way in a couple of years, I'll be able to look back and say, is that perfect for her? If she had to go at this time, maybe going and doing something amazing in an amazing place like London with her best friend, and that's the way she sort of said goodbye.
She'd rather go if there was a really hot guy sitting on her face.
That is the truth.
No, totally.
The TMI truth. And I think I think on that note, we'll leave it there. We're going to take another break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about the Boulet Brothers Halfway to Halloween TV special.
Welcome back, everyone, and happy halfway to Halloween. Yes, I am plugging our upcoming first TV special, the Boulet Brothers Halfway to Halloween TV special, which is coming out on April 25th on Shudder and AMC Plus. Let's talk about it.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. So this is for those of you at home that don't know, we have our first ever TV special coming out. It's the Boulet Brothers Halfway to Halloween TV special. And it's sort of like a Halloween themed SNL. We wrote the whole thing. I think we wrote and directed a bunch of it.
Mm-hmm.
And we got all of our monster friends together and all of our famous friends and everyone that we love. And we just put on this crazy variety show.
I'm like giddy. It's so cute and it's fun and it's funny. And I will say, hi, I'm emotional and I'm like very like that. So the main thing I took away was like, this feels like family. This feels nostalgic and cute and fuzzy and warm, ? Ew.
I think it's because the people that we invited to partake in it are people that love Halloween.
Oh yeah, you can
They're
totally
nice,
tell.
fun people to work with, and they were happy to contribute to it. And that energy spread through, I think, even in like, hey, I'm talking to them like, what do you want? Tell me what you want. I will write you a skit that you love.
And
I did, and they loved it. And so that's why everyone's happy. And I think that's why it feels very fun and it just has a good energy about it.
I think it has a great energy about it. And like Ian, like I'm watching it and I was like, I'm kind of giddy. It was like, I woke up, it's Christmas morning, I'm a child, and I haven't run into the room with the tree. But I'm all excited. And then as I was watching it, I'm like, am I getting like a little emotional?
Yeah.
Because it's so kind of joyous, and it's joyous for like dark-hearted people. It's for freaks and weirdos who love Halloween but have to wait a full year. So it's that dose of that kind of darkness in the middle of spring. Was it delivering? I'm like, yes, it just kept delivering and delivering.
That's the thing for me is it's like Christmas, but hi, we all love Halloween. And I think that anyone who loves Halloween, it really boils down all that. It's you want ghosts and witches and goblins and ghouly goos, and it's got all of that. It's like Halloween candy and a razor blade and the apple. We got it.
Here's where the inspiration came from. I loved those TV specials that used to come on in like the 80s, and it was so hyped. It'd be like the ABC Christmas special, and they would get
spectacular starring,
and they would get all of the people who were hot at the time, like whatever musicians that didn't fit with it. They'd get like, what are our top shows? Let's make them be in it. The actors. Of course, we didn't know that when we were kids.
It's very foul because we look back now and we can see it's very network driven.
It's very network driven. But then they would pull in weird musicians that didn't fit. Like, here's Kiss. And here's the girl that plays Marsha Brady. You're like, what? And here's Nell Carter from Give Me a Break. You're like, okay.
You're like that. How does this make sense? And usually it didn't.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like the hype was great. The package was amazing. And then you would turn it on and you'd be like, this sucks.
You'd be like,
it sucked because it was like, you know what? And I kind of thought about it because I thought about that when we were doing the specials. Like, I really want to make a TV special, but I don't want it to suck.
Yeah.
Why did it suck? And the reason it sucked is because you would see the characters that you loved on these shows, but the writers did not come with them, and they were not playing the characters you knew. So you were introduced to these actors for the first time because you didn't see them on TikTok and shit back then. You didn't know what their personalities were like. So you'd see them being them, and you'd be like, well, that's B. Arthur, but she's not like Dorothy. And
okay, but I will say, because to name B. Arthur, when B. Arthur appeared in the Star Wars Christmas special, I was like, this is iconic. Like seeing B. Arthur in the fucking cantina, I was like, this is weird. I cherish this.
B. Arthur is Mon Mothma from Star Wars if she got older.
Okay.
Right?
Whoa.
B. Arthur should have
could.
Yeah.
And you know what? Here's another little tidbit. Once upon a time in a club far, far away, we used to perform Golden Girls shows, and Drac
You take that back.
Drac makes a deadly Dorothy Spornak.
Yes!
Those were the days.
And you know what? You know who else plays Dorothy Spornak? Heklina.
Yes, she
Icons
does.
Heklina
only.
Yes, she did.
Her
When the
annual
Golden
Christmas show,
Girls.
which that show, how amazing.
So good. And it was always like, Heklina in San Francisco versus Jackie in
I
LA. And it was like
know.
the battling Dorothy Spornax of California.
Yeah.
And they were both epic.
I know that.
Wow.
I'm sure I've never seen Jackie Beat playing Dorothy Spornak. You know that she nailed it.
Oh,
But
my Lord.
Heklina is my favorite Dorothy Spornak because she always had a little bit of heart and a little bit of humility, which I felt like B. Arthur did too. And I don't think that's Jackie's specialty, just saying.
Jackie has a heart. It's just black.
Yeah.
Damn.
So back to our special though. It's real. I'm so excited about it. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. It's weird because we're talking about how it's warm, but like it's so wrong.
Okay, speak on it though,
It's
because
so wrong.
That's it. I think this is like testament to like we're all weirdos.
Yeah.
Like I do think that it is warm and cutesy and fun, but there are some sketches which. Swan, you said this in the last episode, and I'm gonna repeat it. Like Drac, you like went the fuck off on some of these
I did.
sketches. Like the humor is so like dark.
It's not dark. It is crispy black.
Oh my gosh, there's one moment I cannot wait for people to see it. It's like when we were watching the edit, one of the editors was like, oh my God, like he didn't realize the joke that was coming up. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this humor is pitch black, like night black. It's so funny. I love it.
It was fun, but I definitely and we were writing them. So I was like writing them so quickly on the fly, and I would then I'd be like 3 a.m, and I'm like writing this thing, and then the next day we'd get there on set to direct, and I'm like, okay, and then I'd be like, oh my God,
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
is this weird? I'm like, I don't. Are they gonna read
Really?
it?
Is
and be
this
like,
too
what?
much?
I'm excited about it. I think people are gonna love it. I hope everyone watches it, and I'm gonna ask everyone listening. Help us spread the word. If you see us share the poster art for the Boulet Brothers Halfway to Halloween TV special, share it on your story, share it on your feed, share it on Twitter, share it wherever, and help us spread the word because you're going to love it, and I want everyone to watch it.
I really, yeah, that's would be super appreciated. And I'm just throwing this out there too, because I'm kind of just thinking about it now on the fly. I think fans are going to get to see us in several ways that they've never seen us
Yes.
before.
Yes.
And it's so dark and twisted and weird. And there are segments that I am smiling like a happy child. Like it's like giddy
Oh, yeah, that's
to the point where
true.
I'm like, is this
So cute.
stupid? But I kind of love it.
No, it's awesome. I mean, not to spoil anything, but there are some sequences that go into total like goon territory, and it's so fun. And it's like I think people are gonna get to see you guys in a different way, and I love it. I can't wait for people to see the special. I can't wait to see it again.
So everyone watch it. Remember, April 25th, premiering on Shudder and AMC Plus at the same time. So pick wherever you want to watch it and watch it. Okay, so I stole the mailbag from Ian, and I'm going to read some questions. Question 1 comes from Mike from Chicago. Mike from you should say that. That's
Ooh.
Oh, I know you're putting me on the spot.
Alfonso.
Oh, yes, Alfonso from Chicago.
Okay. Alfonso from Chicago asked, have you ever no, hold on.
Was it Mike?
It's Mike, but
It's
I'm
Mike, but it's
naming him
Alfonso. And I
Alfonso?
want to know in the comments, I want people to tweet us who knows what that's from.
Who knows
It's
what the
iconic.
reference is? The Alfonso
from Chicago.
Why does Stormy Daniels follow the Boulet Brothers on Instagram? Do you all know each other, or maybe she's just a fan? She must just be a fan because we do not know each other. However, I will reveal that there has been some questions from her camp about coming on the show as a guest judge.
For years, actually.
Yeah, for a long time. And you know what? If she is behind Trump ultimately going to jail, I will definitely make her a guest judge. So there's that.
Celebrate her. Why does she follow us? Because once upon a time she had very bad taste, Donald Trump, and now she has good taste because she follows us.
Glonk.
All right. Logan from New York asks, I have purchased lots of merch in the past, and some of it has come signed, but I am wondering which signs the goodies, or do you both hold the marker together?
I love the way this question is formed and presented. But Drac isn't doing it quite the way Ian would do it, because Ian would like put on the effect of like the
You got to do the. It's it's okay because I think
hello mothers.
Hello, mothers. I bought a lot of merch in the past. You got to do the mailbag voice.
Yes, and the answer is Swanthula is the one to usually scribe the inscriptions.
Ooh.
It's true. We both do sign things from time to time, but you usually get stuck with no.
the burden.
Next, Diana from Anaheim asks, would you ever plan to create your own makeup line or collaboration with a makeup company? And if with a company, which one would you choose? Yes, we would start our own makeup company, and we have already registered the business name. And one day you will be seeing it on shelves, I'm sure. But as far as doing it with another company, probably not, because the profit margin would be really low. But if we did, it would be Black Moon Cosmetics, because I love their products.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want the best black lipstick anywhere, get Sleepwalker from Black Moon Cosmetics. It's the best black lipstick you will ever buy.
Until ours comes out. Exactly.
That's all the time we have for questions today. Thank you all for joining us for this impromptu podcast. We are on the road, so it might sound a little rough, and we apologize in advance if it does. Make sure to buy your tickets for the Boulet Brothers Dragula Live if you haven't yet, and come see us live. We are doing the podcast at a lot of stops, so you can come listen to us record an episode right in front of your very eyes. And be sure to join us on April 25th for the premiere of the Boulet Brothers Halfway to Halloween TV special. Until next time, uglies.
The Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night is hosted by the Boulet Brothers with their co-host and producer, Ian DeVogler. Engineered and mixed by Carlos Bueno, with music by Neuron Spector.